What's up, good people? Welcome back to the Basketball Society podcast. If you are new to the show, be sure to subscribe wherever you're listening from, if you're on Apple Podcasts or on YouTube. And we have way more content and podcast episodes for you on the Basketball Society YouTube channel. So definitely subscribe there. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, please, when you have some time, feel free to go down and leave a rating and review of the show if you like what you hear, and then definitely stick around and stay tapped in for more episodes. I just had to get this off my chest about the Clippers possibly wanting to make a move for James Harden. I'm not like one of these totally anti James Harden people out there. But I do acknowledge the risk that is that you can't really avoid when it comes to Harden right now. The reliability, the consistency, the trustworthiness, on and off the court, actually, that stuff you can't really avoid. So I can understand people's criticisms and complaints about James Harden. If you saw the clip of Matt Barnes, talking with KG and them, they were kind of talking about Harden, and there was a clip of Matt Barnes talking about how he feels like Harden has to be careful. He could potentially make his way out of the league.
I think James has to be careful because
he at that point, we're here.
The NBA doesn't need him.
We're here.
The NBA doesn't need him no more. So the way, and I'm all for player empowerment. All of us are for player empowerment, but he forced his way out of Houston, forced his way out of Brooklyn. Now he's trying to force his way out of Philly. Like, at some point, everyone's going to be and he's got so much talent and a lot of game left, could talk himself out of the league with his talent, which is crazy to think.
The situation Harden is in right now in Philly has gotten bad. It's just gone south with the whole Daryl Morey thing. He showed up to training camp apparently, but he still wants to be traded, and apparently he only wants to go to the Clippers. Now, apparently, the Clippers are ready to make this move. I don't know. Based on reports, it seems like they want to make this move like ASAP. And obviously, with the season coming up, you would want to make that move. But they seem ready to pull the trigger. They seem to want to pull the trigger, the Clippers, and make a move for James Harden. So one reason why I understand the Clippers making this move for Harden is because apparently, based on reports, the only player asset from their roster they would have to give up is Terrence Mann. And I really like Terrence Mann. I'm always saying, like, more weapons versus less weapons. Look at the WNBA finals right now. the Aces and the Liberty. Both teams have weapons. The Aces have more weapons, and they have just more dynamic weapons, especially on the perimeter. I'm all for more weapons, more players who can score than less players who can score, right? Like you need glue players, you need defenders, you need role players, like you need good quality role players who can do different things. So when I look at the Clippers, I don't know why they would be the ones to kind of gamble on picking up James Harden. It seems like a really big gamble. And I guess for any team that wants to take on Harden is kind of taking a little bit of a risk. Like I said, I'm not anti-Harden. So like I could think of teams that I felt like should go ahead and go for him and look to make a move for him that could use him for different reasons. The Clippers is interesting to me. Like the fact that they are interested in making a move for him suggests to me that, for one, Tyronn Lue must feel like he can coach James Harden. There may not be many coaches left in the league that want anything to do with James Harden. There may not be many fan bases. The Harden supporters are dwindling down in the league, out of the league, in locker rooms, in front offices, and in fan bases. So the amount of coaches who would even want to, and organizations who would even want to deal with Harden are probably very few. I felt like Miami, I know a lot of people were kind of throwing Miami out there. I thought that would be a dope situation. It might be in a risk on top of a risk putting Harden in Miami, but we know that their culture and the way Pat Riley does things, and they keep things tight, and it's a very strict culture there. So maybe that would be good for him. I think people who were pushing for Miami were kind of saying that, like, hey, maybe they lost out on Dame, so it's like I think they still need an extra offensive punch, and it's like maybe Harden could fit that mold. Maybe you guys could whip him into shape a little bit on and off the court, get him a little more disciplined, get him focused, and maybe they could get the best out of him. But I think I heard Bill Simmons say, like, Pat Riley in Miami, they're too smart to get seduced by Harden. There's probably only a few people out there who really want to deal with him, and it seems like Tyronn Lue, Steve Ballmer, and the Clippers are like, we'll take him. If all we have to give up is Terrence Mann, maybe a pick or two. I think Tyronn Lue is looking at, clearly he has some kind of plan to look at, okay, this is how I see Harden helping our team. I'm very interested to see how that would look, because it does confuse me a bit thinking about Harden back with Russ as sharing lead guard opportunities. And then you've got Kawhi and Paul George, right? I mean, again, I'm all for more weapons versus less weapons, more offense versus less offense, more playmaking versus less playmaking, but it's still about like fit and function and comfortability. To think about Harden and Russ together, that in itself seems a little problematic. Not that they can't do damage together, but I don't think that's your ideal lead guard sharing responsibility situation. And then again, along with Kawhi and Paul George, who also need their touches and need to be able to do their thing and lead the team. So I don't know what kind of system that looks like. But again, I'm thinking that it's on Tyronn Lue to say that he feels like he must feel like he can make it work. I'll also say this. I feel like the Clippers this is a big season for them. They're on year 4 or 5 with Kawhi and Paul George with really nothing to show for it yet. They haven't been healthy a whole lot, which sucks. But the reality is, like, the Clippers need to produce something out of the Kawhi and Paul George era. The Russell Westbrook pickup was big for them in the postseason. They still have a good roster, if fully healthy and connected and present and committed. They do have a championship contending roster. I mean, it's not a foregone conclusion that Harden will go to the Clippers. We'll see what Philly wants to do with that. If they want to just send him where he wants to go, if they like that deal, right? It's about the deal and, what they feel like they can get back and what they can get out of it. But I mean, based on what we know, I'm pretty sure it's clear that James Harden does not want to play for the Sixers. I feel like the Clippers are one of the handful of teams that could use what James Harden has to offer. Even though I question the fit with Russ and Kawhi and Paul George, listen, you've got a lot of different combinations of talent and stars and abilities on rosters right now. And I do think the Clippers are in kind of a desperation mode, and bringing on James Harden, if Tyronn Lue can coach him, if you can get a committed version out of him with that group, that does make the Clippers a little bit scarier. They do need to kind of swing for the fences and go all in, because they're two main guys that they brought in that made them, title contenders. They just haven't been fully healthy yet, and they haven't been able to get a return on having two, top 10 level players on their team for the last few years. So hoping that obviously the two of them are healthy. You've got Russ now. You've got other good players on your team. It's like maybe for additional insurance and for just additional weaponry and playmaking and, just having another star on your team, I guess. Maybe that's what they're looking at. Again, if all you have to give up is a Terrence Mann, a role player, to get back a player of James Harden's caliber, I can see how that makes sense. I also see the risk with just everything that comes with James Harden right now. but maybe the Clippers are the team best suited to take him on. Maybe that makes the most sense. But I definitely want to know you guys' thoughts. If you're on YouTube especially, leave comments on the video. Let me know what you think about James Harden possibly going to the Clippers. Does that make sense? Is that the best place? Is that the only place that's going to work for him right now? Is that even going to work? Definitely let me know your thoughts. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, leave a rating and review of the show. I would really appreciate that. And stay tapped in with the Basketball Society podcast. I'm Martin Soaries, and I'll talk to you guys next time.